Good morning, dear audience. My name is Martin Dauglis, and I'm extremely happy to serve as the moderator of the pre-conference discussion with the Auditors General, considering the theme that we have a great conference happening 100 years of State Audit Office here in Latvia. We have a morning discussion with the main topic on collaboration, how the state auditor institutions collaborate with society. And as it's written in the Rio Declaration, there are three levels of engagement with the society. The first one, the broadest range, is one-way relationship with the society when the institutions inform society. The next level is consulting, and the third level is collaboration within decision-making. So how it goes and what are the future prospects considering those three levels of engagement, today we're gonna discuss with our distinguished international crowd and guests here in the breakfast discussion. But the first mic goes to our Auditor General of Latvia, Mr. Roland Cirklis, please.
Thank you, Martin, for the introduction, and it's my big honor to be today here with you, with my colleagues from other Supreme Audit institutions from other countries on our 100th anniversary. You are our closest allies, and this is very, very good that we can also have this type of discussion. The reason of this discussion is that we, as SAI of Latvia, we are responsible Eurosai level with relations of non-SAI stakeholders. So that's our portfolio, and we are working intensively on this aspect. So we already have some views in this regard, and we are doing this international work, and as well we are improving our national work, how we engage with non-SAI stakeholders on governmental level and especially on NGO level as well. So that's a very short introduction from my side. I will continue at the end of the discussion as well, but now I will pass the mic to the next speaker.
Thank you very much. And yes, indeed, we have a very short and focused moments, like shining our experiences and ideas within and on collaboration. And, always it's important to find the so-called Nordic star of values. So Estonia is the Nordic star from the Latvia's perspective. Mr. Janar Holm, Auditor General of Estonia, perhaps you can start with information on how you engage with the stakeholders and the audit process itself within Estonia.
Thank you for this Nordic star. It's really hard to continue after that, but thank you for the opportunity to share some thought about the engagement of stakeholders, legislators, auditees and others. Stakeholders' engagement is integral part of our audit procedures. But today I focus mainly on civil society organizations and NGOs, how we engage them in our audit process and especially in planning process. Our office is cooperating and consulting with civil society organizations during various stages of audits. For example, during field work phase, we are consulting and collaborating with them for better data interpretation, or in post-audit stage, they are good partners for dissemination of audit results, and cooperation in post-audit stage helps also us to pressure out some way policy decisions from government for implementation for of our audit recommendations. But the most central and important and comprehensive for us is the cooperation during the audit planning phase. These meetings and consultations in this audit planning phase help us to raise our auditors' awareness about audit topics and helps better identify the risks of audit objects. And the extent of this engagement varies and depends on the specifics of the audit object. We have a very comprehensive NGO engagement process, for example, in case of environmental audits or healthcare audits. In the audit planning phase, the assessment of the need of the engagement of civil society organizations or NGOs is delegated to the audit team. And the form of the audit plan has also separate subchapter for presenting the views of auditees and stakeholders, and also especially for NGOs and civil society organizations. The involvement of NGOs is monitored also by the opponent of audit plan before we discuss this audit plan in our management. So the opponent of the audit plan must also pay attention to whether the views of NGOs and civil society organizations are reflected in the audit plan. So this is just to end, to be inside of these 3 minutes. I want to say that prerequisite for successful engagement is two-way cooperation. It is important to give feedback also to stakeholders, to NGOs and civil society organizations on what was or what wasn't done based on this their proposal. So, but now my 3 minutes. I have a lot to say, but my 3 minutes ended.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Holman. Two-way cooperation definitely is the topic we're going to touch upon also in the main conference that we have. We are switching now a bit the region and also a bit the scope and scale on specific type of audit, the parallel audit, the Supreme Audit Office of Georgia. Madam Sofia Dvalishvili from Georgia, please share your experience.
Thank you so much. Dear Excellencies, dear Auditor Generals, distinguished guests, dear moderator. On behalf of the State Audit Office of Georgia, I am delighted to present my compliments to the State Audit Office of Latvia and pass our gratitude for the invitation from the Auditor General, Mr. Roland Irklis, at the Conference on Audit Strengths dedicated to the 100th anniversary of the Valsts-Kontrolle. Stakeholder engagement is an essential component of our mandate and a crucial aspect of our work as an independent public sector organization responsible for auditing government finances and ensuring accountability and transparency. Stakeholder engagement facilitates oversight over the use of public funds for good governance and efficient management of the public resources. While working on institutional strengthening, our new strategy also implies increasing role of the stakeholder engagement. Strong relations and dialogue with our key stakeholders, the parliament, the government, civil society and media and donors is particularly important for better finance management, budget execution activities, and public involvement in audit topic selection process. The Parliament of Georgia, while reporting on our audit findings and recommendations, ensures awareness and appropriate actions, whilst engaging the government executives, including the ministers and senior officials, and discussing our audit findings, the SAO promotes corrective actions. Engaging the public strengthens transparent and accountable governance. Communicating audit reports and findings effectively to the general public ensures better outcome. Cooperation with our donor organizations, EU, USAID, GIZ, World Bank, as well as international audit community, INCOSAI, IDI, IROSAI, and ISSAI increases collaboration and sharing best practices. The SAO is pleased to avail this opportunity to mention some good examples of stakeholder engagement in its audits. The SAO conducted performance audit on the support of the persons with disabilities, having studied the extent of availability of information to the Health Ministry for appropriate planning and implementing measures to ensure the availability of social rehabilitation programs as well as the quality of services. Another good example is the distance learning audit in public schools that the SAO conducted during the pandemic period. And it was conducted with the involvement of the US Government Accountability Office experts supported by our stakeholder donor organization, the USAID. Having evaluated the emergency preparedness and assessed effective measures to provide distance learning during the pandemic, the SAO identified the possibility of using acquired experience and issued 6 audit recommendations that has been reported publicly. These recommendations pertained addressing the lack of access, infrastructure, and the teacher trainings for distance learning in the pertained addressing the lack of area, the lack of access, infrastructure, and teacher trainings for the distance learning in general education after the COVID pandemics. To showcase our stakeholder engagement, we relied on the improved collaboration with the non-governmental and civil society organizations to advance our audit work. Engaging with the government agencies, citizens, and donor community has helped to share the findings in line with the ISSAI P-12 that we also published at the INCOSAI Journal on Government Auditing publication available in the previous issue. Overall, the stakeholder engagement, our SAI has a role in promoting transparency, accountability, and good governance in public sector that we are hoping to extend with support of our auditory community. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Madam Dvalishvili, and thank you indeed for opening up this question on advocacy of values, in fact, for vulnerable social groups, and we're going to touch upon this also in the conference. We are moving forward, and the ownership of resolving the issues that's being audited is an important question. So Mr. Marian Banas, Auditor General of Poland, can briefly share his perspective on the topic.
My name is Marian Banaś, and I am the President of the Supreme Audit Office of Poland. First of all, let me thank you for the kind invitation to this very important celebration of the anniversary of the State Audit Office of Latvia. It is a wonderful day, and I wish you many happy returns of the day. The independent Supreme Audit Offices have a crucial role in improving the functioning of public administration. Thank you to our audits in the area of digitalization, security, environment, and the budgeting. We make sure that the money of the citizens are spent wisely and according to law. Cooperation with stockholders is of crucial importance to the follow-up process of the audits conducted by our auditors. Thank you to the good communication, strategic, and good knowledge of who our stockholders are, we can reach bigger audience and make the work of our auditors more effective. In the end, I'd like to thank the auditors of the State Audit Office of Latvia for their everyday work, their input, their professionalism and devotion. I'd like also to thank the head of the office for this work in the international community. This is the good way to promote our work, our nations and our offices. Let me also thank to you all gathered here today for showing your respect to the public audit of public auditors. It is great to see how respected the independent public auditors can be and how proud the citizens of Latvia can be. Let me wish you all the best, peace and health. Keep out a good job. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Just side information, today our President Edgars Rinkevich is in Poland. So, and you are here, it's kind of exchange of values, we can also say like that. Thank you very much. We are sharing today, in fact, a pretty unique experiences. And the next experience also is unique, as Supreme Audit Institution of Israel is unique in the fact that the State Controller also serves as an Ombudsman. Mr. Yair Saban, could you please share the perspective within this?
Thank you very much. First, we would like to thank the head of SAI Latvia for the invitation to this wonderful event, and on behalf of SAI Israel to congratulate him and wish all the best in the future. As for your question, that's right. SAI Israel is quite unique in the world due to the fact that the SAI Israel, the Auditor General, also serves as the Ombudsman. Combining these two activities, the Ombudsman activity and the audit activity, enable us to add value to our audit performance and to make the collaboration with the public more effective and more relevant. Just for general information, last year in 2022, we have received, as an ombudsman, we have received 21,000 complaints from the public in several issues, such as for the education system, healthcare system, welfare system, etc. And by the connections between our audit teams and ombudsman teams, we can share knowledge and information, and we could locate and map and point out regarding the issue that we can conduct audit based on those complaints. For a specific example, I can mention one example from 2021. During the COVID-19 pandemic period, we have received as an ombudsman more than 1,000 complaints regarding the payments from the government to those who were unemployed at that period. And our SAI, Israel SAI, has decided not only to inquire and examine those 1,000 complaints, but also to conduct a wide and systematic audit regarding that issue. So that's one example on how we can take the information from the Ombudsman and implement it on the audit field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saban, for sharing this experience, and I believe this will be a huge input in the discussion that we have today later, considering the future of institutions and collaborations in between them. Thank you very much. We are again rotating around the map, and this particular moment we are coming to Mr. Mindaugas Macijauskas from Lithuania, sharing the experience on the way how the Supreme Audit institutions are influencing, in fact, with the reports and recommendations, the legislators and decision makers in other institutions. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you for your question. So, first of all, Parliament and parliamentarians are our key stakeholders. Nevertheless, we have a lot of stakeholders, media, society, government, NGOs, and etc., etc. But as in many life situations, the success of cooperation and collaboration and activity depends on a wide range of elements. For example, compliance with standards, mandate of audit institution, legal regulation, established practices, or individual initiatives. In our case, I would say we are lucky because in our parliament we have a committee on audit which deals with all our audit reports. So when we publish our audit report, it goes directly to audit committee, and all the reports are discussed in the audit committee or in the sectorial committees. In this way, we present our audit results, but what is very important that our auditees also can present their views, how we planning to implement audit recommendations, and we can have quite a sometimes tough discussions. What is the best way to implement one or the other recommendation? But at the end, an audit report is only useful when it creates actual impact. It creates value. That's the way we pay attention to implementation of our audit recommendations. And twice a year, our audit office prepares special reports about the implementation of audit recommendations. And what we found that our committee on audit finds these audit recommendation implementation reports very useful. And we discuss them a lot in the audit committee, ask him to come subjects to explain why we have some delays, etc., etc. The other thing which is quite important for us to spread the information which we found during the audits. So the audit committee and the other committees in Parliament, we are streamlined via websites, so we can reach the society and all the people who are interested in our audit reports via online. So that also creates some value and know-how about the audit institutions. The other thing what we are doing is conferences together with a committee on audit. We select some topics and, for example, this year we organized the conference about the greenwashing. We made some kind of audit reports and we shared experiences, what we found during the audit. During that conference also we invited some NGOs, we invited some people from the government, from the parliament to explain, to share their views. And at the end we found that this process, collaboration with the parliament, with committees in parliament, with members of parliament, creates value and creates value for society. And this is our main goal at the end. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Macijauskas. And definitely the wording matters in these days. And you mentioned actual impact. I wrote it down, how to make an actual impact. I believe that's a question on all levels to discuss. And the next topic we are switching on is the impact that's being created in society and by society, communication with the media, which is always a stress point for the state institutions, especially if they are conservative. Mr. Miloslav Kala, Auditor General of the Czech Republic, could you share your experience with the communication with the media in this regard?
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me, and all the best to my colleagues. You said something about conservative institutions, and I would like to say that we are very often conservative institutions, and we are thinking, what does it mean to be conservative? But we have to say that we are part of the real world. And the part of this real world is also the world of politicians. And this part of the world is very hard, is working with emotions. This word does not refrain from excessive precision. This word is very, very aggressive. And why it is, it's very clear. The goal of politicians is clear. They want to win the elections. And how? In principle, however. It's necessary to convince the voters that they are working for their welfare and better than the political opposition. From this point of view, our goal seems to be clear too. We are something like referees. We whistle the match. We open and finish the game. We whistle offsides and penalties and yellow and red cards. Actually, we pay attention to compliance with the rules. But, in fact, we don't play football. Our job is not only to describe mistakes. Our job must be to contribute to improvements. And it's not a question of whether we have to communicate at all, but it's a question what to say, to whom, how often, how loud, which instruments we have to use, and which impact we achieve. And yes, you are right. This is definition of any communication strategy or campaign. In the cacophony of all possible voices, our whistle must sound clear, precise, and must drown out all the others. And now I am in Czech Republic. Our annual report was the possibility to say something more to the game. And we said that the real meaning of subsidies was replaced by formalism, and spending took precedence over the meaningfulness and potential benefits of subsidies. Of course, it's not my words. These words are my colleagues, my auditors, my experts, my very important people in my office. But I transferred these words to a very short sentence. Our economy has stealthily turned from a market economy into a subsidy economy. And you cannot imagine what happened. This sentence was quoted. All the opinion leaders were communicated, were working on it. And this sentence made big pressure to our government. Our government approved this sentence. And they said that they are planning to save from national subsidies amount of 2.5 billion euros. So it was a real result of maybe one sentence, but a lot of work which are behind this sentence. So I would like to recommend to all of our conservative community to think about these results, to think how to find the impact of our work, how to increase improvement, and maybe how to change the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kala, for sharing this, I believe, very inspirational story about how you hack the stories of the state development in a most positive way, and definitely maintaining so the sustainability and good policies and better policies to make. Yes, I quoted down owning the game, so that is we're gonna definitely discuss also in the future and take over the experiences. We are moving forward, and owning the game and communicating is on one side, and then of course is acting out on the everyday level all what you need to act out with the collaborators, with other stakeholders, and maybe even not collaborators, but just other stakeholders, how to do this together. So, Mr. Marian Lupu, an Auditor General of Moldova, can you please share your experience, how you reach the impact together with the stakeholders?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. First of all, sincere congrats to our Latvian colleagues and friends. 100 years is a serious age. And thank you very much for the assistance accorded to the Court of Accounts of Moldova along the decennies. This came with a very serious contribution to our own professional development. I'm very glad that this cooperation is continuing, and right now we're developing again a joint project. Now, the topic selected for this discussion is very important because relations, cooperation with stakeholders. In fact, there is just one target behind this process of cooperation: impact, concrete results of the audit activities, our contribution to the social and economic development of our countries and our societies. So I will be very brief. I will refer to our cooperation with different stakeholders in a very short manner, paying attention to the issues of strategic importance. The Parliament, of course, strategic partner, because the parliaments, among others, they have a very serious and important function of parliamentary control, especially over the activities of governmental bodies, including the management of public finances and public assets. And of course, of how is active the parliament, how efficient is the parliament in implementing this function depends a lot in terms of impact and results. So one concrete example in the case of Moldova. A special committee, audit committee in the parliament was created just a few years ago, and before only up to 10–15% of the reports produced by the Court of Accounts of Moldova was considered by the Parliament. I don't refer here to the annual reports. I'm speaking about ordinary audit reports. After the creation of this committee, up to 90% of those reports are considered on the parliamentary platform, of course, making parliamentarians to be much more better informed, much more active and aware about this function. Government. Of course, we are auditing the ministries, different other executive bodies, but we set as task to involve the government itself, I mean the State Chancellery, in order to ensure a general monitoring, a general not only monitoring but management of the implementation of our recommendations. Finally, I should say that one good performance in our case is that since 2 years ago, the government is including the recommendations of the Court of Account in its annual action plans. Right now, we have the quota up to 20% of the actions included in those action plans based on the recommendations of the Court of Account. Mass media and the citizens, the society, I should say that in the case of Moldova, our meetings are directly broadcasting on different internet platforms. These ensure a direct and very easy access to not only to all our materials, but also to the discussions, questions, debates, etc. I should say that the interest of the society is high enough. The average number of unique viewers is 500,000 people. And referring to mass media, I should say that, as example, last year, more than 600 materials, press materials and journalistical investigations has been done based on the reports of the Court of Account. Finally, civil society, NGOs, we have selected a strategy of full openness to all the NGOs seriously interested in this domain. We are offering all the information, we are open for very large cooperation. I should say that as a result of this, if until or up to 2020, all the NGOs in Moldova, they paid a special attention to the quality. The question was, are the reports of the Court of Account of the good quality, relevant, etc., etc. And after being convinced that this is like that, during the last couple of years, all the NGOs are concentrated on a completely other question, but very important. How the recommendations of the Court of Account are implemented, how is acting the Parliament and the government in doing their job. One evaluation report among 5 international evaluations have been developed during the last 3 years with the participations of Moldovan NGOs, but at the international level. And one example, very representative of the impact. According to this evaluation, based on the reports of the Court of Account of Moldova during a period of 4 years, assets and financial means at the level of more than 5 billion Moldovan leis have been recuperated through a judiciary system based on the reports of the Court of Account. 5 billion Moldovan leis, dear friends, is let's say 10% of the revenue part of the annual budget of the country. So we have a very strategic approach to the process of this cooperation, and we are very target-oriented. We need to see, to identify the concrete impact, concrete results in real terms of our work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lupu. And definitely such articulate talking points all of you are giving here, I believe using the nowadays technologies. Each of our viewer can use artificial intelligence to transfer them in the bullet points and just take and bring to universities, to public organizations, and those are strategies by themselves. About the ideas that were here in the House, and of course the ideas of own State Audit Office of Latvia, Mr. Rolands Irklis, Auditor General of Latvia, the floor is yours now.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to hear a lot of different views and about engaging the stakeholders, and I can hear a lot of similarities here in this room. At the same time, some differences where we can learn from each other. For example, we also have the Parliament Committee where we discuss our reports, but these are closed meetings, so you have to ask access to that meeting to hear it. It's not online. So this is something probably which we can learn so in this way to more engage the society, and they will be able to follow what's going on after we publish the reports and we are discussing them in the Parliament. Regarding our story, we have one very specific way how we engage with non-SAI stakeholders, and this is called public council. So we created some time ago, before I came to the office. And so the idea is that we gather together experts from different areas, high-level experts, like experts from academia, from law, from IT sector, from entrepreneurship, from finance sector, so different wide range of experts who are then helping us to design our strategies, to design our plans. We are discussing with them our audit topics and other issues regarding our development as a State Audit Office and what we can do better for the society. This is very good because they are really high-level experts, so they have an opinion on those areas where we are performing our audits, and therefore it's very valuable feedback from them. So they can give feedback on the work what we do, on the work what we plan, and sometimes we also involve those experts in our audits as an expert, so they can contribute their expertise to our audit, or at least they can give some advice where to look for those experts, because we all know that auditors could be very good experts in some areas, but always outside there will be somebody which is a real expert, I don't know, in energy, in finance, or IT sector. So it's good that we can attract these non-SAI partners also in our audit work. And then in the recent years, we started also more engagement with other type of NGOs and with civil society during the audits and also when communicating the audits. So during the audits, it's very good because this is somehow kind of, you get the user's experience on the problems. Because when you sit in your office, you sometimes doesn't know really what's going on, or you communicate only with the government, they will tell you one story. But to get the real user's experience from society, so you have to go to the society to speak with them. So NGOs can help very much, especially in the fields like welfare, social policies, and so on. So you can really find out what is the real problems and how it affects the people. And then you can come for better solutions, for better recommendations when you communicate with civil society. And then after the audit is completed and the report is published, we also make a communication events together with civil society, with NGOs. We are having, for example, when publishing the report, open online discussion where all these organizations are invited, and then we discuss the results of this audit. So they are very well informed about that, and they make a multiplication of our messages. And they take it, and then they are very interested also to follow what is the implementation of those recommendations. So they are very interested because they are very well aware of those. They are getting some expertise as well, and then they are supporting us in the process of implementation of those recommendations. So that's a brief experience also from Latvian side.
Well, thank you very much. We are wrapping up, and I will use the right of moderator to wrap up with a provocative question to you, Mr. Irklis, because, well, it's from one side celebration, from the other side ideation and putting the ideas together. After this round of wonderful experiences and ideas, and very, very like distillate, what you're going to do first when you're going to return after the celebrations of 100 years? You're going to go back to your office and you have a blank page in front of you, and what are going to be a couple of ideas you're going to start to move around from this day you have heard here in this wonderful pre-conference discussion we have here?
Probably I will sit down with our communication specialists, and we will one more time watch the video from this event and put some very good best ideas from here, which we could put in our communication strategy as well, and how we can improve our work with civil society. So I think the ideas was quite a lot. I really like the idea of Lithuania about the more publicity when we are discussing in Parliament about our audit reports. I think that's very, very good idea. And the other ideas as well, I think that's very good.
So one idea from each speaker definitely will be implemented here in Latvia.
Yeah, thank you.
Taking this as a promise. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all our distinguished speakers, and thank you very much to you, audience, for watching us. And indeed, the openness and the big question, what is true and what is false today, especially when you don't know where the real data lies and where the decisions leads. Indeed, the state audit is one of the sources where we can grasp the truth and definitely follow up how the decisions are made, were they good, were they bad, and how to improve our society. So keep following up, and see you in the big conference that follows directly after this discussion. Thank you very much.